Sandra was a student at Westfield University, known as much for her striking looks as for her lively spirit. She wasn't the kind of girl who blended into the background wherever she went. People noticed. In lectures, she always sat at the front, bold enough to answer questions, yet playful enough to make even the strictest lecturers laugh when she chose to. But Sandra's true joy wasn't in the classroom. Her world came alive when the sun went down. She loved the glitter of city lights, the pulsing sound of music, and the freedom of dance. Her friends often joked that she was married to the night, because no week passed without her stepping into one club or another. Her closest friends, Anita and Juliet, were always by her side. Together, they formed a trio people couldn't miss: loud laughter, matching outfits, and endless energy. Most weekends, Theo, an older student with a flashy car, would come to pick them up from their hostel, with him behind the wheel. The night always promised excitement. Sandra's favorite thing was the dance floor. She didn't just dance, she owned it. When the DJ dropped a beat, Sandra's moves drew attention. Phones came out to record her, and cheers filled the air. She loved the feeling of being the center of the moment, the rhythm flowing through her body like she was born for it. This was Sandra's world: lectures by day, clubs by night, laughter always in between. For her, life was about enjoying every second, about shining so brightly that no one could ignore her presence. And so, as another Friday night rolled around, the trio prepared as usual, outfits chosen, makeup set, excitement in the air. It was just another night to live, dance, and be seen. By 10 p.m., Sandra and her friends were already in Bayo's car, music blasting as they sped through the city. The windows were down, their laughter spilling into the night air. Sandra wore her favorite short black dress. Anita had on bright red, and Juliet rocked a glittery silver top. They looked like 3 stars ready to light up the night. When they arrived at Empire Club, the place was alive with energy. Neon lights flashed across the dance floor. The bass from the speakers shook the ground, and everyone inside was moving to the rhythm. Sandra's face lit up. This was her world. As soon as they stepped in, heads turned. The trio didn't need to introduce themselves. Their presence already announced them. They ordered drinks, posed for quick selfies, then headed straight for the dance floor. The DJ played the hottest tracks, and Sandra's body responded like second nature. She bent, twisted, and rolled her waist in perfect sync with the beat. The crowd shouted in excitement. Soon, young men began spraying money. 200 notes fluttered in the air like confetti, landing all around her. Anita, quick, pick AM up before people carry AM go, Sandra shouted between laughs. Anita dropped low, scooping the scattered notes into her purse. Julia joined, giggling as she grabbed what she could. To them, this was part of the fun. Dance hard, shine bright, and leave the club not just with memories, but with money in hand. Sometimes Sandra would pause just to watch the way people admired her. She liked the feeling of being celebrated, of being the girl everyone wanted to dance with. And when more money rained down, she bent even lower, her friends forming a circle to shield and gather the scattered notes. By 2 a.m., their table was full of drinks, their bags heavier with cash, and their spirits higher than ever. The night was still young, and to Sandra, it was just another perfect Friday. Sandra and her friends were no strangers to attention, but not everyone in the club loved them. For every group cheering them on, there were always a few eyes filled with envy. That night was no different. As Sandra and Juliet scooped more sprayed money into their bags, a girl sitting at a nearby table whispered loudly enough for her friends to hear, "See them every week now, so bend down and pick money. Is this what they came to university to do?" Sandra caught the words, but she only laughed. Rolling her eyes, "Jealousy go kill some people, Shaw," she muttered to Anita, before turning her back and returning to the music. But envy wasn't the only spice of their nights. Sometimes it came as drama from men. Later in the night, 2 young guys began arguing over who would dance with Sandra. One of them, clearly drunk, pushed forward waving bundles of notes. insisting she dance only for him. The other, angry, tried to drag her by the hand. Sandra didn't flinch. She was used to it. Abig. No, touch me, she said firmly, stepping back while Anita quickly blocked the man's hand. The bouncers noticed and immediately separated the quarrel before it grew into a fight. Not everyday day fight because of Sandra. Juliet laughed when they returned to their corner. Sandra only smirked, sipping her drink. What can I say? Now my talent by 3 and their table was crowded with admirers bringing drinks, food, and even more cash to spray to Sandra. It felt like she was untouchable, the queen of the dance floor, the girl who could turn any night into a celebration. The music slowed for a moment, and Sandra leaned back in her chair, watching the flashing lights play across the room. For her, nights like this were a kind of magic fun, power, and freedom all rolled into one. Nothing else mattered. Friday nights had become a ritual for Sandra and her friends. They never missed it. That evening, as they got dressed, Anita joked, at least this our lifestyle day pay small if no boyfriend. At least club go still settle us. Sandra laughed, applying her lipstick in front of the hostel mirror. My sister. Not true. Oh, no, wedding we go use enjoy ourselves be this Abig. No, cut off my joy life, no hard like that. Juliet clapped her hands. No wahala tonight, we scatter the dance floor. When Dale arrived to pick them, they were already glowing with excitement. The car ride was full of music, laughter, and endless selfies. By the time they reached Empire Club, Sandra's happiness was overflowing. Inside, everything was alive as usual. The DJ booming, lights flashing, people shouting and dancing. Sandra couldn't even sit down. She rushed straight to the dance floor. She moved with her whole heart, twisting and turning, her body flowing like she was born for the music. Money began to rain down. Anita and Juliet, as always, bent to pick, giggling as the notes scattered across the floor. Sandra danced harder, throwing her hands in the air, spinning, bending, and rising again to the rhythm. Then came the moment. Sandra always bent down to twerk normal in the club, but this very day, the music inside her head, she deeply bent down to twerk, and she saw what amount could not say that made her to freeze was something no one else seemed to notice. She saw that the people in the club, their head is on the ground. Without sound, Sandra's body stiffened. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Her mouth opened, but nothing. Her voice was gone. Her eyes widened. Her hands trembled, but still the music went on. People cheering like nothing was wrong. Anita rushed forward. Sandra, what didn't happen? Why you freeze like that? But Sandra could not answer. She only shook, her body locked in place, staring at something invisible to everyone else. The crowd began to murmur. What happened to her? Why she stopped? Juliet touched her shoulder. Sandra's lips moved, but no words came. Only her wide, terrified eyes told the story of something unseen. And then, when Sandra finally collapsed, the club erupted in confusion. Anita and Juliet grabbed her, feeling her skin cold and wet as if she had just been pulled out of water. Sandra, talk to us. What day happened? Anita shouted, shaking her gently. Sandra's eyes were open wide but blank, her lips moving without sound. She trembled, her body stiff and heavy. The bouncers helped them carry her outside, where the night air felt even colder than before. Bayo quickly drove them back to the hostel. All the way home, Sandra sat silently, staring out of the window like she was seeing something far away. She never said a word. Days passed. One day became two became three. For one whole week, Sandra could not speak. Her friends tried everything, food, jokes, even prayers, but she only stared at them, eyes glassy, like someone living between two worlds. Finally, desperate, Anita called her mother, who came with a pastor from their church. The pastor prayed over Sandra, anointing her with oil, reading Psalms aloud. The third day of prayer, something broke inside her. She started crying deep, heavy sobs that shook her shoulders, and then the words poured out. What I saw, what my eyes saw, she whispered between tears. In that club, they were not people. Most of them were not people. They had no legs. They were standing on their heads. Only about 10 humans were in That club, the rest, were ghost spirits. They looked like people, but they were not. Their faces were empty. Anita and Juliet gasped, their hands over their mouths. Sandra shuddered. I saw their true form. They smiled at me with no mouths, no eyes. My God. I saw a ghost. I saw many ghosts. My eyes opened. The pastor put a hand on her head. You have been shown what is hidden, he said softly. This is why you must leave that life behind. Sandra wept harder. I'm not going back to the club again. I can't. I give my life to Christ, but will he still accept me after everything I've done? The pastor looked at her and smiled gently. He will. He always does. Sandra fell to her knees, crying. I saw a ghost, but God saved me from that night onward. Sandra never stepped into a nightclub again. The memory of what her eyes had seen was enough to chase away every thought of glitter and music. She knew the truth now, and there was no going back. She gave her life fully to Christ, standing before the church in tears as the congregation prayed over her. The pastor told her, your testimony will save lives. What you saw was not for you alone, but to warn others. At first, Sandra was shy, but as weeks passed, she began to share her story. She bought a small ring light with her savings, set up her phone, and started recording videos. In each one, she spoke with passion, her voice trembling but firm. I was in the club every Friday. I thought I was enjoying life. I thought money, drinks, and dancing were everything. But the day my eyes opened, I saw the truth. Not everyone in the club is human. Some are spirits, some are ghosts hiding in human form. Only a few real people were there. The rest were shadows. Her words spread quickly. Students who once joined her to party now gathered around her to listen. Young girls messaged her secretly, Sister Sandra, please pray for me. I want to stop clubbing. She became a voice in her campus fellowship, testifying of how God delivered her. Soon, she was invited to other churches to speak. With her ring light and her voice, she reached thousands online. Her story shook people to the core. But Sandra never told her story without a warning. I was blind, but God opened my eyes. Don't wait until you see what I saw before you change. The devil hides in pleasure, but Christ gives life, true life. If he could forgive me, he will forgive you. To her, life became a living testimony. The girl who once ruled the dance floor now ruled the pulpit with her story. And each time she raised her hands in worship, tears filled her eyes because she knew she had been pulled from the edge of darkness and given a second chance, and her message never changed. I saw a ghost, but God gave me life. I rather dance for God than for me to dance for the devil. This is my true life story. I hope you learned from it lesson. The story shows that not everything glittering is good, that some pleasures carry hidden dangers, and that no matter how far someone has gone, God's mercy is always open to accept them back. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you will get notified anytime we post a new video.